Hi, thanks for coming. Today, I want to talk about specifically how to get into the state of samadhi and to acquire the superpowers. They're very closely related. And I'm going to use for a textbook the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Okay, there's a picture of my guru, Swami Satyananda, up at Rishikesh. We're actually a little bit downstream from it, Hardware. Uh, so and I'm making this video for somebody named Josh, and who didn't really understand, even though he's had a samadhi experience, didn't really understand the process, what happened when he did it. So taking him as the model, I'm going to go through this and explain it as if I was explaining to Josh. But most people, they've done spiritual awareness exercises, I've heard the term samadhi. The definition, but I've been surprised that some people don't know what it really means to be in a state of samadhi. The state of samadhi is characterized, okay, this is the technical definition, when the observer, the act of observation, and the thing being observed become one thing. In his commentary in the books, Satchidananda says, the act of observation and the object of observation disappear. And so, just to give you some idea, Swami J, who's an American who became a Swami, he says, oh, you become the object. Yes, that's possible to do that. Okay, here's an object, a pencil. Okay, I can observe the pencil, get closer and closer and closer to it mentally, and actually enter into the pencil. So then the idea behind that is that if I have a pencil, it becomes like another thumb. Okay, I'm aware of my thumb. I think my thumb and I are the same thing if I think I'm the body. Okay, so do I have any difficulty in telling the thumb to move? No, I don't. That's because I see that my identification is with the thumb. In the same way, I can become the pencil. And a pencil, to me, feels like the thumb. It's sort of a rough, it's a little bit different when you feel it. Okay. But that's the idea. Okay. The process of going into samadhi. Once you achieve that, okay. Well, let me just back up just a little bit. Swami J's definition says, okay, I can become the pencil. But if that's true, then if he becomes the pencil doesn't have any ability to speak. Whereas if the pencil becomes me, it becomes an appendage that I feel, like I feel my thumb, and I can feel the fingers touching it and all the other things. And the mind works. So becoming the pencil is a lower type of samadhi than the pencil becoming you. Okay, it's a technical difference, but very powerful. Okay, and you want the second one because that leads faster to the state of self-realization. Okay, so here we go. Number one, I'm not going to bother to read the Sanskrit, translate it. I'm just going to read what his translation is. Dharana is the binding of the mind to one place, object, or idea. Okay, so this is the start of concentration. And it's one of the fifth limbs. It's the fifth limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Here's a phrase that he uses. Normally, so he's talking about normal people, we see our mind running here and there. When we try to fix it on one thing, within a fraction of a second, we see it somewhere else. Okay, just to give you an example, my mind, your mind, thinks around 600 words per minute. Okay, I talk about 125 words a minute. So that means there's 475 words time. Okay, a little more than 3/4 of that minute. You're listening to me, your mind is going away, it's coming back, listening for a few more seconds and going back and doing something else. That's the normal state of mind. Dharana is the binding of the mind to one place, object, or idea. He mentions Tradic. I have a video on Tradic. Matt also has a video on Tradic, and he's an expert at that. Okay. Dhyana, or meditation properly, is the continuous flow of cognition towards that object. Okay, so we're going to go back to our pencil. You look at the pencil, okay, so you have a pencil could be a substitute for a mantra or different things like that. You look at the pencil until your mind is distracted. And then what happens, your mind goes off and thinks about something and you bring it back. It's that bringing it back over and over and over again that finally trains the mind to stay at that one thing long enough, quote unquote. Okay. And the analogy that's given is that it's like pouring oil from one container into another. The oil, when it goes from one container to another, is a continuous flow. So if you're doing a mantra, say like Om Mani Padme Hum, you're seeing from the third eye the expansion into the diagram of the 6 planes. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So that it stays within that image. Three, Samadhi is the same meditation where it's a shining of the object alone, as if devoid of form. So this is Swami Jay's experience. You see the pencil, and you and the pencil become one. It loses its form because the mind stops. Samadhi is characterized by the lack of thought. Okay, so here's the comment that matches that. In Samadhi, there is neither the object nor the meditator. Okay, There's just the observation. But Swami J says, okay, the place of observation, the location, is in the pencil. I am that pencil. Okay, there is no feeling I am meditating on that. Okay, so the mind no longer is present. It's rather difficult to put it in words. If you just keep working, you will know what samadhi is. You can experience it, but you won't be able to say what happens in that state because the mind's not there. Okay, you can talk about it afterwards. Oh, I felt peace. I felt it. Okay, so of course there are different lower samadhis that we talked about in the first chapter where you attain that level and then come back. These are samadhis connected with form, with idea, with bliss, with pure ego. Okay, so Savitrika, Savichara, Sam Ananda, and Sam Asmita samadhis. Okay, so they have characterized 4 different types of samadhi, of which the one Swami J talked about. Okay, all these 4 still leave some parts of the mind with hidden desires. You are not completely free. The ideas in the mind are not completely roasted. Okay, so he talks about all that. Okay, so there's a progression. Okay, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, those 3. And there could be a long time between the 3. When you can practice these 3 and do them successfully in a short period of time, it now has a new name. That name in the 4th sutra says, the practice of these 3, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, upon one object is called samyama. Sam means I. Yama means the science of. So this is really a scientific endeavor. Samyana is usually done on objects or ideas connected with some result. When the results come, you call them siddhis or vibhuti. Siddhis, the translation is an accomplishment. Okay, and this chapter, the 3rd chapter, is called the portion on accomplishments. Vibhuti, traditionally in a fire ceremony, every part of the fire becomes sacred. And the ash that's left after the fire has gone out is called vibhuti. Okay, so that means the idea behind vibhuti is you burned out your ego. Okay, so to accomplish a siddhi in some way means that your ego gets fried. Samadhi, samyana are identical if you don't consider time. Okay. Number 5. By mastery of samyana comes the light of knowledge. Okay. So it's a problem of discovering. Okay, its practice is to be accomplished in stages. Okay, so if it takes time, you do dharana first until you get successful at it. Then you do dhyana until you get successful at it. And then you do samadhi. And so it says, this is practice to be accomplished in stages. Okay, so the seventh sutra says, these three, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, are more internal than the preceding five limbs. Okay, and he makes the point, if you're doing how do you practice non-injuries? He's talking about the yamas and the niyamas. If you practice non-injury, what if there's nothing outside to injure? So he makes the point this is an inner thing. Okay. Question. Can you do these three objects, these three practices, without doing the first five? And the answer is yes. Are you going to have more trouble? The answer is yes. Swami Satyananda used to say, if you compare the cities to running, then the yamas and the niyamas are compared to crawling and walking. You should master crawling and walking before you try to run. You're less likely to have slips and falls. But some people are like that. They just want to go. And if you have the mental tenacity and the ability to see when you could make a mistake, well, then go ahead. Tantra says make yourself happier the next instant. It doesn't say what's going to make you happier. That's up to you. Okay, so it's possible. Okay. Okay, but then he goes on in number 8. Okay, so there's an ordering in the sutras. You don't see this at the 4th sutra. This is the 8th. Even these three are external to the seedless samadhi. Okay. Okay, so that's the setup for the 9th line. Okay, the impressions which normally arise are made to disappear by the appearance of suppressive efforts, which in turn create new mental modifications. The moment of conjunction of mind and new modifications is something called Nirodha Harinama. Okay, so I'm going to go. So this is when you look at the commentaries, okay, on other people, this is what separates the men from the boys. Okay, and this is the essence of going from dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay. I'll read it again. The impressions which normally arise are made to disappearance by the appearance of suppressive efforts, which in turn create new mental modifications. The moment of conjunction of mind and new modifications is Nirodha Harinama. Okay, so we're going to go back to Tardik and we're going to go back to our pencil. You're looking at the pencil, you're paying attention to it, your mind wanders. Okay, you bring your mind back by saying, oh, come back to this. Okay. The impressions which normally arise. So you're watching a pencil, and another thought that's not the pencil arises. Okay. Okay, so you're thinking about this and you're not paying attention. All of a sudden you become aware, oh, I'm not looking at the pencil. I'm thinking about going to school tomorrow. Okay, so how do you suppress the thought of school tomorrow? By saying and doing bringing your attention back to the pencil. You're suppressing the thoughts of the school by bringing the mind back to the pencil. Okay, which in turn create new mental modifications. Okay, so you learn that you don't want to think of the school tomorrow, but then the mind brings up something, what's for dinner? Okay, so this is a new modification that the mind uses to leave looking at the pencil. Okay, here's the key. The moment of conjunction of mind and new modifications. So what does that mean? It means the faster you can become aware of the mind and its new modification is the faster you can bring it back. Okay? So now, here's number 10. The flow of Nirodha Parinama becomes steady through habit. Okay? Remember the description of dhyana is that the oil flows from one level to the other continuously. And that means that every moment, okay, that you're paying attention to the pencil is a continuous flow of thought to that pencil. Okay, so number 11. When there is a decline in distractedness, an appearance of one-pointedness. Okay, the flow. The flow becomes one-pointed. There isn't a moment that your mind leaves observing the pencil. Then comes Samadhi Parinama. Okay, Nirodha Parinama, Samadhi Parinama. Okay, so Parinama means development. So this is actually a type of Samadhi. Okay, and they actually have time periods that they measure how long you think of the object. Okay. So, here's 12. Then again, when the subsiding past and rising present images, okay, rising past and rising present images. That means that the mind creates thought waves. Okay, let's take a mantra for instance. Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, that's the rise of Om Mani Padme Hum. And then it goes down. Then you start again. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Continuous flow. And every mantra, every object has a wave thought form. Okay, it's all about the mind. Okay, then again, when the subsiding past and rising present images are identical. Okay, you have a pencil. This moment, you see it. Okay, next moment, I'll move it over, but it doesn't move. Next moment, you see the pencil again. So the rising image is identical to the falling image. What does that mean? It means there's no thought, oh, this is a red pencil. This is a red pen. This is a pencil with a point. That's gone. Okay, they have a name for this. Okay, Egreka Parinama. And we know Parinama means development. So Egreka is one-pointedness. Okay. Okay. Number 13. Okay. By this, what has been said in the preceding three sutras, okay, I'll go back and read them again, just so you know. So number 10, the flow of Nirodha Parinama becomes steady through habit, practice. When there is a decline in distractedness and appearance of one-pointedness, then comes Samadhi Parinama, development in Samadhi. Okay, then again, when the Samadhi subsiding past and rising present images are identical, there is Egreka Harinama, okay, one-pointedness. Okay, by this, what has been said in the preceding three sutras, the transformations of the visible characters, time factors, and conditioning elements is also described. Okay, transformation of the visible. Okay, red pencil, sideways, point. These are all consumed by the identicalness of the object. You're not aware of that. The mind doesn't go outside of that continuous flow. So it's Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, not Om. Oh, the three parts to make up the Om. It's just Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Not even the image sometimes, if it just collapses into the sound itself. Okay, so now this is Samadhi. Now we're going to switch over and apply this knowledge to the universe around you. It is the substratum, the prakriti, that by nature goes through latent, uprises, and unmanifested phases. Key point. The nature around you is wave-like, just like the mind. Okay. Okay. 15. The succession of these different phases is the cause of the differences in the stages of evolution. Now we're going to start talking about karma, aren't we? Evolution implies karma. Number 16. By practicing samyana, the three stages of evolution comes knowledge of past and future. First city. Okay. Okay. So number 17. A word, its meaning, and the idea behind it are normally confused because of superimposition upon one another. What does that mean? Well, if you're talking about everything being wave-like, then there's three waves to every word. The sound itself, its meaning, and the idea behind it are three separate things. It is normally confused because of superimposition upon one another. By samyana on the word or sound produced by any being, knowledge of its meaning is obtained. Okay, 18. By direct perception through samyana of one's mental impression, knowledge of past births is obtained. Okay, so if you say that you're not your mind, then the objects inside your mind, your mental impressions, Another name for that is the vasanas. Knowledge of them gives you knowledge of your past. I just went through something with Josh about his past life. Okay, number 19. I'm going to go to 20 and then I'm going to stop. Okay, samyana on the distinguishing signs of others' bodies. Knowledge of their mental images obtained. Okay, what does that mean? What's a distinguishing sign? Oh, I'm wearing glasses. That's a distinguishing sign. I'm wearing a t-shirt. That's another distinguishing sign. If you look at somebody and just let their impressions that they create in you, you can know what's on the surface of their mind, of their mental images. Now, a very important point here. Okay, if you can see the knowledge of their mental images, why don't you just read their thoughts itself? Well, let me give you an example of somebody who did that, lived in Los Angeles. His name was Swami Yogananda. And did he cause problems for himself by doing that? Absolutely. Patanjali, this is the only reference that Patanjali uses that comes closest to that. It's a good substitute. Okay, so you don't want to read people's minds because some of the repercussions is that people won't want to be around you. You're actually taking something from them. You know what that thing is you're taking? Their privacy. There has to be a good reason to take away somebody's privacy. Okay, number 20. But this does not include the support in the person's mind, so the thoughts themselves, such as the motive behind a thought, as that is not the object of the samyana. So this is pretty convincing by omission that Patanjali doesn't want people to, there's a good use of the cities and the bad use. And he doesn't even go this is as far as he goes. He says, okay, here's the fence around reading people's mind. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop. To summarize, Samadhi is the training of the mind until thought stops. Once you are able to stop the mind and see yourself as that same object. So it's you looking at yourself, you merge with your higher self. There are no words to describe that because the mind is not there. Afterwards, the mind comes back and somehow the impressions are recorded. So you say stuff. Oh, I didn't know anything. Things like that. That process of dharana, dhyana, samadhi means that the time between observing an object and the mind going away and coming back gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, to tie this all together with Tantra, which says, make yourself happier the next instant. This is one of the training devices to make that period of time get smaller. And there's a tremendous energy release in doing that. Okay. I trust that this is going to be a good enough explanation for a lot of people. If you have questions, you can get in touch with me. Thank you.